All right, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Turn it over to you, Craig, for roll call.
All right, Chairman Canfield,
Here.
Beecham is absent this evening. Caldwalder,
Here.
Straubin,
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
We have 4 out of 5. We have a quorum.
All right. Entertain a motion to excuse the absence of Perry Beecham.
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item 2, approval of the agenda.
I have an item to add under action items.
Oh, good. Only there was 0.
Item A will be the approval of the First Baptist Church easement. And then Tom was able to secure a key today to the St. Mary's School, so after the meeting tonight, we can go take a visit over there if anybody would like to.
Ooh.
And I think that's all I have to add.
All right. I'll move we approve the agenda as amended.
And I'll support.
Right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item 3, approval of the minutes of the August 13th regular board meeting.
I'll move we approve the minutes as presented.
And I'd like to support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then the closed session minutes.
I'd like to move
Did we get a copy of those?
to approve. I didn't, but I'd like to move to approve the closed session.
We'll wait till next time.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
postpone that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
All right, that brings us to item 4, public comment for items not on the agenda. And we have no
No public?
public, so.
Not even Mr. Hall
We need
today.
we need a cricket sound clip.
Yes, I do want one of those.
Move to our amended item easement approval.
All right. Several months ago, we talked about work that we were going to be doing. We approved some expenses for new 12470 line to go across the Baptist Church property, and that they were going to be giving us an easement to be able to do that, and we were going to provide some hookup to their new community building structure there that they're putting up. And so we finally have the finished version of the easement from Dick Wendt, and it was signed by the Baptist Church today, John Pickens, the pastor, and notarized at City Hall. So what we need to do is to approve the easement, and then we recommend it to the City Council for final approval at their meeting on the 21st of this month. It's a pretty straightforward easement. There's a map. If you turn to the back page, you see Main Street along the bottom of the page, and we currently have line going about a third of the way to the north, and it stops there. We wanted to be able to take 12470 beyond, but not having to put new lines on Main Street. So we've been looking for a way to do that, and we were able to work out negotiate a deal with the First Baptist Church. They're going to allow us to go back another, what is it, Tom, 100 feet along the west side there?
Yes.
And then back across beyond the parcel that they're using, moving to the east, and put some new line in there. So if you don't have any other questions, recommend approval of the easement and to forward it on to the City Council for their final approval and resolution.
Do you have a rough idea what the cost of the work that we're doing in exchange is? Hundreds, thousands,
No.
millions?
It's somewhere in the vicinity of 35, Tom, is that?
Yeah, something like that, yes.
Okay.
We're gonna do the underground portion of it from a riser pole to their new transformer and then pass that transformer to their existing transformer. And they're gonna allow us to put in a 1247 line across their property, and it's gonna be the covered line, the Hendrix line.
Yep. Okay.
So what do you mean by the work that we are doing is, I guess that 35 that you just mentioned, what does that concern?
The underground portion of it. See, what had happened is their underground needed to be moved, and because it's theirs and they would need to move it, that was the time we decided we should get an easement from them so we can cross the property, and then we'll move that underground for them. The building is
Okay.
on top of it.
The new
Okay.
And
building?
it just feeds them.
Their new building,
It just
yeah.
feeds them, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So the new building's on top of the
Old
old,
So-
underground line that they had.
okay.
And that will be abandoned, and the new line will come off the new line that we're putting in. And that will allow us to, that line will take us to the old movie theater parking lot, that entire mini mall, and then we can start converting from one span at a time, from 4,000 volts to 12,000 volts on that part of the system.
Okay.
We didn't have a good way of getting there
Mhm.
before.
So this is a huge advantage for us right now.
Right.
Huge
Yeah.
advantage for us. In
I guess
fact,
I
we-
didn't
we-
realize that we were paying to basically move their line, but it's basically, we're just paying to kind of upgrade our infrastructure.
To be able to get the easement.
Yeah,
And
we're
they're
trading.
allowing us to.
We're trading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact,
makes sense.
we had approached them several, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they weren't interested at that time. That was really the best option we had for, and that's why we really haven't done much in that area of town, because we haven't had a good way to get there. And so this really solves a lot of problems for us.
What a
Okay.
great opportunity.
Yeah.
So, I don't, I haven't read through this entire thing because a lot of it is legalese that I would have to ask so many questions on, but I'm trying to find in here, which I was trying to determine what happens if something happens and the church is no longer there.
This becomes a deeded easement. It gets
Okay,
recorded
so
with the
it would
Kent
be-
County
okay.
and its own.
So we don't have any issues if for some reason somebody else takes over that property, there's never going to be an issue. So this is a
Correct.
deeded, okay.
This is a deeded.
That's what I was trying to understand is how that all worked. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Good question.
So how did their building get on top of the current line?
It's a new building
It's a new
that
building.
they're putting up.
They're putting a second building up,
Mm-hmm.
To the community center.
and the place that was most optimal for them to place it happened to be on top of a buried line that they had put in, 25 years ago, 20 years ago.
But that wasn't our line, that was their line.
Yeah.
No.
It was their electric line, but
It was their
How-
underground service to the
underground
existing
service.
church building.
Okay.
And they went ahead and built over that carefully,
carefully and with our supervision while we were.
agreement, knowing what was
Knowing that
going
this is
on.
gonna happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like they just built over the line and said, oh man, that'll be tough to move.
No.
Now we need an easement.
No,
Okay.
no. It was all a work in progress.
Okay, because that's what I understood from when you brought this up before, and I just wanted to make sure about that.
Yes.
And then, is this a typical, again, I'm only having time to skim
Right.
this agreement, but is this typical for a electric utility easement?
Yes.
Is there anything like special about it in here?
No, it's a very common easement. I guess what's atypical about it is we don't have many. Most of
Okay.
our lines were established when easements weren't common. And people wanted electric, so they let you put your lines on their property.
Okay.
So this is a good thing. We're starting to build a file of easements.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I move that we approve the utility easement agreement with First Baptist Church of Lowell.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Sorry for the late notice, but we're trying to fall into all the parameters of meetings and getting things done, so. Thought this was better than waiting another month. Okay, moving on then to the informational items. We have the performance data. And we had a good month in August, as you might suspect, with the number of hot days that we had, or the consistently hot and steamy days. Everybody was running air conditioning, so that means we sell kilowatt hours.
Yes, we do.
And so we had total electric sales that were up 20% over the year before, 21% over the year before. So that obviously helped us on a revenue basis. You see that both residential and commercial kilowatt hours and sales were up for the month.
Just a question, was it a longer billing cycle of more days? Because Perry and I were talking, and Perry had 2 or 3 people talk to him and say that their bills were $50 higher. Part of it would be weather related, but does this happen to be a longer billing cycle by a few days?
It was a couple days. I think it was 30.
6 days.
6 days. So
6
that-
days.
I've been
Oh,
talking
okay.
to a lot of people with energy audits.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a significant factor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Good,
Okay.
thank you.
Information from prior months, we see that the month of June was actually down from the previous year when we looked at the total electric requirements. Again, you know that June was a cooler month this year. Peak demand was a little higher in July than the previous year. And again, because of the difference in reporting between MPPA's timing and our reporting, this isn't showing any internal generation for July, but we did actually run in July, actually twice in July, and then we ran again in August or September. So those will ultimately show up.
Yeah, and I actually talked with MPPA because in the monthly summary, they don't have it, but on the weekly invoices, I said, they're pretty detailed and there's a line item that I have to look for, so I'm gonna have to go back and look at a few line items.
Okay. The quarter ending data is the same as last month. We update that quarterly. Flipping the page, looking at our current cash situation and investments, we're again back up to that healthy number of $2,000,001, and we've been there a couple, 3 months now, so that's good. And again, we're continuing to do well with delinquents down in the hundreds of dollars, low hundreds of dollars, not zero every month like Sharon would like it, but down pretty low.
We're gonna have a party when you get there, right?
Her goal for this year, her evaluation goal was to have 12 months in a row with
Somehow
Or
I
else,
doubt
right?
that, but hey.
No, we didn't have consequences, though, so I guess I'll have to work on that. No.
And did you have a little unicorn horn? with you?
Yeah, that's right. And the aging analysis, this month was up a little bit in total. We have a couple of customers that are behind a little bit, so that's the reason for that. If there's any questions, we move on to the income statement.
Just
Yes.
out of curiosity, because we do have well, I don't know, I know the 30-day is probably not a big deal, but it is substantially higher. Is that all residential, or do we not have any way of knowing?
It's
What's that?
commercial,
Okay,
a couple of customers.
okay.
Yeah, it's commercial.
I assume those will be coming in, it's if we get large household ones, those, sometimes that becomes a problem,
Yeah.
Right,
so.
yes.
I just wondered.
Mhm.
Okay.
Nope, that's good. Income statement. As I mentioned before, again, it was a good month. We had a good sales revenue, $25,000 over budget for the month, and puts us $21,000 over budget year to date, which is a little over 1%. That's out of Steve's plus or minus perfection value, but it's better to be on the positive side than on the negative side. The next important area is total purchase power expense, and we were slightly over there. Again, that's because we sold more electricity primarily. Our average cost, our cost per kilowatt hour is actually down because of some of the things that are happening in the market right now. So that's primarily due to increased sales and the need for that electricity. The rest of the expense items are pretty close to budget. There weren't any that jumped out at me, unless anybody has any questions about something specific. We move on down to total operating expenses, again, primarily because of purchase power over for the month, but still within a couple percent year to date. Operating income, just slightly under budget, 10,000 under budget, and only a couple thousand within Steve's guidelines, under 1% total differential year to date operating revenue. And then the last item is the net income or loss at the bottom of page 5, and again, very close to the budget, and a good couple of months in the summer is always a great way to start the year.
I have a question. So earlier in the performance data, you mentioned the electric sales being high because of the extra 6 days in the billing cycle.
I factor that in now.
But that's part of the budget though, right? So the fact that we were, the revenues were over budget wasn't due to the 6 extra days. It was.
What do you mean?
Well, the current month budget, I'm assuming, does that account for the fact that this month had a wider billing cycle?
Yes, it does.
That's
So,
part
okay.
of our budgeting model now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the fact that we were over budget for revenue, so was not due to the fact that it was just 6 days longer, it was due to more sales than we were expecting.
Yes.
Yeah, I've developed in the past, it was
Okay.
kind of hard, but this budgeting cycle, I've taken into account actually meter reading days.
Okay,
So, yeah, this takes into account extra long billing cycle. So it's just hotter.
That's
Okay.
why he was confident we were going to stay under that 1%
Right.
variance.
No,
Did you
I mean,
tell him that last
well,
meeting?
Yeah, well, you were gone.
Yeah.
You made some promises
Yeah.
since you weren't here to
Yeah.
deny 'em.
Yeah, that's not his performance criteria, right?
That's right.
Under 1%.
I didn't realize it was one. Okay.
Well, I remember in the past we talked about, or I think you or Greg or both of you had mentioned the forecasting was going to include that, so that's when Greg had asked the question about the extra $50 bills, and for
Right.
6 days I thought that was already factored in, but, okay.
Not
so
on the
just-
customers' bills. They
Right,
see
they're
it.
not used to.
Problem, Steve, is you've set the bar so high that when
Yeah.
you're not here, we raise it a little bit for you just to
Thank you. That's good.
keep you on your toes.
Exactly.
You don't mind.
Is that
do you?
something
No.
that, would it be, I guess maybe that's a question for the board, but would it be worth adding on here the billing days for this
I
performance
can.
data? Just because it seems like every time someone asks the question, hey, it was a short month or a long month, or,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do that.
and since
Yeah.
it sounds
Very
like you got
easy.
it, that might just help, so we could,
Right.
okay.
Yep. I can do that. I mean, it'll vary for some people, just if a weekend falls in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or a holiday.
Okay.
You know, if like somebody normally was a Friday and the next month was supposed to be 28 days later on a Friday, but it's a holiday,
Mhm.
and they have to be read the following Monday. So some residential customers could have a 31-day billing cycle, some of it 28. Does that make sense?
Okay, but what you're basing it on is the planned billing cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I've planned it. I'm just assuming that everybody's going to have that. I can't take into account every single like route with this customer and what their historical usage.
Yeah, you can't yet.
I could with AMR.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, yeah.
As technology improves
Right.
and our customers that are okay with smart meters have them, then that will get us
It
back
would.
to a regular 30-day cycle.
Yes.
Right.
At this point, because we haven't converted.
Right. It also helps our cash flow, because you can bill
later in the
More
month.
consistently.
more consistently.
Yep.
Not have so many days between the time that you read a meter and the time that you bill it.
I have a little AMI update for you guys later and
Yay.
some benefits, and one for Low Light Power's decreased number of billing days outstanding, which would help our cash flow. So we can go into all that stuff in more detail.
I can't wait.
Yes. What's that?
However many days in the cycle, bill's still ain't due until the 20th.
Right.
So I guess, do you guys think that's useful to have that billing days on there? It just seems like every other meeting somebody is asked about.
Right. Yeah, I
So,
could.
if you guys think
It would
it's
probably
worth
be
it,
helpful
we can
then
ask
to
them to do
compare
that.
how many billing days from last year too.
Right, for the
Previous year?
Yeah.
Are we within 6 months or a year of having smart meters on the majority of our
I
customers?
think so.
I mean, if we're that close to it, maybe we're gonna be there anyways.
Right.
You can work on keeping under that 1% variance instead of, whatever.
Be cool to come to the penny. 0%.
Yeah, you and Sharon just keep dreaming on that $0.
We like optimism, though, that's good.
right.
Dreams keep you going.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks for explaining that.
Yep.
All right, on to capital expenses. Again, we have a capital budget of about $944,000, and to date, we've spent 97, so we're ticking along in good shape as we move through the year. 847,000 left, and the second page of that shows you exactly which project specifically the dollars are being spent in. And you see it's Ford Rolls Royce and some upgrades on the east substation. The big chunk that we did earlier in the year was the finishing up the payments on the biodigester.
So where are we at with that?
In terms of where we at with
Biodigester.
what? The biodigester in terms of what we do or what it's doing?
Well, what it's doing, I mean,
That's in the manager's report.
oh, I didn't see it in here. Where
Very
did I
first
miss
sentence.
it?
We'll get to it.
Okay. All right.
All right. Outages, we only had one in the month. That was pretty good. And it was one person out for about 27 minutes blowing fuse, I believe, on Main Street. And then on to the manager's report.
Yeah.
Had both board meetings this week, and again, the main thing I want to keep reminding you of is the MMEA Fall Conference. I did include a full itinerary so that you can see the types of things that are being offered during that Wednesday and Thursday. A lot of good things specifically geared towards board members.
Has
Hope that
anybody
you can take
signed up?
advantage of that. No, if you're ready to sign up, Sharon's more than willing to.
Nobody has signed up yet.
No.
No.
But we're kind of a last minute board anyways.
Yep.
Well,
We got a month yet.
Plenty of time.
are there specific things that you think would be beneficial for board members? I mean,
Yeah,
if you look at
there's a
this-
whole track
Okay.
that is specifically geared toward board members. And first couple of sessions are with Dawn Lund. Cash reserve policy for electric utilities. Another one that I think is good, if we have more people attending, would be distributed generation, because that's what our biodigester is, and how that helps or impacts small utilities. The second one in the tract is the cost of service challenges and solutions, and we're going to be doing a cost of service study, so that would be good. And that also is impacted by renewables and distributed generation, and how that impacts cost of service by having the power here in town instead of having to pay transmission costs to have it come from someplace else in the country. So those are all good things. The second tract, I think, is again with Dawn on financial assessments for electric utilities in the afternoon at 1:30. And then The last one is number 13, key financial targets and guide rate setting for financial.
I'm teaching that one tonight.
Yeah. So there's a whole tract on Wednesday, and then I think, as I mentioned in my manager's report, 2 very good speakers for sure. I mean, all the speakers on Thursday are going to have good information, but specifically to have Sue Kelly, the national president and CEO of APPA here, to address the group is fantastic, and then Valerie Brader will be back and talking more about what's happening in the Michigan legislature with respect to the new energy legislation. And that's really starting to heat up now that the legislature's back in fall session. And that's why we are having, MMEA is having a legislative luncheon next week, where we're going to actually host a luncheon for all of the legislators that are on both the House and Senate Energy Committees, and be able to sit down with them individually and talk to them about what is important to municipal electricity as they get ready to debate and hammer out the final legislation for Michigan's energy future. So that gets us down through that part of it. APPA, we talked about Sue Kelly coming and trying to attend Thursday. There's also a banquet Thursday night. If anybody's interested in attending that, that's a good place to get to meet other utility board members and have the ability to get together and talk with them and so forth on that evening. So again, if you can attend any of those, please let Sharon know so we can get you registered. And we look forward to some of you being there. System generation upgrade progress. The biodigester continues to improve its processes. It's a ongoing process. We're not there yet. We've still not up to full capacity. They, I think we're running at, instead of 400 kilowatts today, Tom, instead of 800, so they're still running at about half capacity. They have, and Tamela, you weren't here last month, but Greg Northrop was here and gave an update, and he talked about all of the things they are implementing to try and improve the process. And my understanding from talking with Greg this week is that they're seeing results to those things that they've implemented. So they're trying to get more of the solids out of the mixture so that it doesn't clog up, and so it keeps the odor down, and so on and so forth. In the process of doing that, though, they've had to have tankers come in and haul some of the waste out so that they can try and start with a clean system instead of clogging up the new system with the old stuff. I don't know if that makes sense, but in that process, they've had at least 2 days that I'm aware of where there was odor that impacted performs next door. And one day, unfortunately, they were having a picnic, their fall picnic. They kind of ate and went back inside early, I guess. And then yesterday was another day that it was bad enough that as they do ventilation in their building, they were drawing in some odor. So, but Greg Northrop is aware of it, and they're doing the best they can. They've made some changes, and they're moving forward.
So we don't have a scheduled date yet for a public
We do not have a
posting?
scheduled date yet for a public opening or open house or
Tour or whatever?
tour, whatever we want to call it. We're making progress on the Rolls Royce. We've ordered some more equipment and parts, and Barney is doing the installation and making good progress on that. We have a scheduled outage coming up, and that's a typo there in September. That's October, we have the scheduled outage. We have the scheduled outage. It'll either be the 3rd or the 10th.
17th.
3rd to the 17th, I'm sorry. The 10th is Harvest Fest on our open house. That's why I had the 10th on my mind. We'll talk about that later. So the 3rd or the 17th will be the scheduled outage date to do the conversion and changeover for the east sub. So that will be done
That'll be just for this side,
for the east side,
my side of the
for
river?
your side of the river, while you're gone.
Okay.
So you won't miss a thing. Won't miss a beat.
There you go. That's Greg's side too, so.
Okay?
That's everyone's side.
We all live on the
You're on that
side,
side too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's the
And,
full board in that
We'll go to
subdivision.
Perry's house.
We just approved the easement for the Baptist church, so we'll be starting construction on that yet this fall as well.
How are we notifying customers about the outage, and how long will that be? Do we know?
Well, we think it'll be less than 20 hours.
How many hours? It'll be on a Saturday night at midnight.
Okay.
And we're gonna put in there 3 hours, just in
Okay.
case something
Okay.
goes awry. But we've gotta do 2 cutovers with 2 separate transformers, so.
And I can tell you, they did a transformer change downtown that affected the Moose Building or the barbecue. And the letter went out that for 2 hours it will be off, and they were kind enough to do it, after hours when people weren't affected, but it was 38 minutes.
38 minutes.
And they were back up and, so under
Yeah.
promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we will be sending something out. Steve, you want to give your AMI update now, as long as we're talking about system updates?
Sure. Yeah. Everybody just wants to pass these out over there.
You need a better acronym.
Plenty of them.
What's that?
You need a better acronym.
What?
Scum or scam or skim.
Oh.
What is this? Okay. There you go. Yay.
Oh, I think we need the whole packet.
Oh, this is mine right here. We're gonna start with kind of the Word document with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So, back in, do you have any, is there any extra? Sorry, Greg.
Do you want to, extra?
I think he got it.
He has.
Okay.
He got it.
So as you guys know, we have budgeted some money in this fiscal year for an AMI project. This spring, I went to the Municipal Smart Grid Summit down in Florida and met with a number of vendors and made contacts with a number of vendors. And over the last couple months, I have had meetings with Eaton Cooper and General Electric here. They've came out. I've reviewed Elster again. Those are kind of the couple hundred smart meters that we have over in Whispering Hills. And I had a conference call with AT&T and reviewed their pricing. And obviously we'll bring forward all options, but right now, from what I've seen, Eaton Cooper and GE would be the front runners. AT&T's solution is more of a cellular solution and is very expensive. We're such a small community that an AMI, like mesh network, where the meters can talk to each other, makes more sense from a financial perspective, I think. So that's just kind of where I'm at with the vendors. I've received proposals with pricing, and kind of moving down to number 2, the timeline. The idea would be at one of the next 2 board meetings to start going into detail with their proposal, the financing, the pros and cons of each person's solution, and things how, if we did move forward with the AMI process, what we would do with customers who want to opt out. Would it impact our rates? Would we be saving money? Would we be making money off this through recouping of losses? Things like that. So we'll go into detail of their proposals. if the board would decide to move forward, we'd start prepping the community, get on the front end of this thing with bill stuffers, blog and website updates, flyers in the office, potential community meetings. So if we can try for a spring installation, we kind of get people ready for this, get them excited, instead of sending them a letter, your meter's going to be changed out next week, and wondering what the heck's going on. We would develop a schedule for our crew to install the meters. You can pay a vendor to do that, but it's very expensive. And with the addition of a couple new guys and us being only 2,700 meters, we could work that out where we could do the installation ourselves. Plus, we'd give a personal touch with our customers.
Do you know how long that would take, or do we not know yet?
I don't know, Tom, what you think, but I think a couple weeks it could be done.
Okay.
I mean, if we had 2 guys and we had three crews, you know, I think maybe a week, you know, if they're hammering at it all day. So it wouldn't be a long thing. And obviously we'd go through the whole meter change out process and installation process and then engage the community afterwards. So that's kind of a very rough timeline. I'm thinking that spring would be an ideal time. It would be hard to do these change out in the winter. We don't know how much snow there will be. And there's going to be a lot of paperwork, just recording, making sure what meter's going where, what meter's coming out, a lot of data. I just want to make sure everything
All the
is
systems are in place.
right. So do you guys have any comments or questions so far? Input?
If we go, you said Elster is what we have up in Whispering?
Ulster's what we have.
Will those have to be swapped out?
They would.
Okay.
They would, yeah. It's unfortunate, but I mean, some of the people that we work with from Elster are nice, good people, but just, I don't think their product's up to par and what we've seen in the market. I just don't think a lot of people have Elster. And Eaton, they're a huge player. Sturgis, who's a municipality in the state of Michigan, Hillsdale, they've gone with them a couple more, thinking about it. I think AMP Ohio, all the municipals.
And they've all been pretty happy.
Yes. So we can get more into detail
Sure.
with that, the pros and the cons, but that's the answer to the Elster question. Just wanted to highlight some benefits of AMI for the customer and us as the utility. By having an AMI solution, we would need to party with a third party for the customer to see and interact with a lot of the benefits. And this little packet that I gave you that says SCM on the top, Smart Utility Systems is a vendor that provides a platform for customers to log in, receive an e-bill, monitor kilowatt hour usage by the hour.
So people can pay their bill online easier than what they can now?
Is it not working too?
I hear from people all the time how they hate our online system and how difficult it is to pay our bill.
The one that
online.
we just put in?
I hear it all the time. People tell me all the time. I don't ever use it.
Oh,
but
really?
I hear people say that to me a lot.
We had some issues at the
Yeah.
beginning, but I mean, I worked
Yeah.
through a lot of them with
Feel
some
like
of our
it's improved?
customers. And
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
has
tell-
it been a
I'll tell
month
them to
now
try
probably, or
again.
how long?
it has been, about a month.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Well,
anything.
I will
Have you?
encourage
Yeah.
people to try
No, I
again,
haven't.
because I've heard a lot of
Right.
people say
I
that,
haven't
so.
heard much. I just had one customer that had a couple meters. So they had to have 2 different logins, and
Yeah.
I just had to explain that to
Okay.
her, but it's fine.
No, I think it's great that we're offering that.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it'll be a smooth process.
Yeah. This smart utility system would be something that we get started before the AMI. It takes 3 to 4 months. They'll actually develop a mobile app. The demo is just beyond impressive from anything I've seen out of other vendors. Other features on the mobile app or on the platform, people can report outages, see outages in real time, request services, whether a reconnect or a disconnect or a new service. You can have energy optimization info on this app. with rebates or benefits or how you're doing compared to a neighbor or other homes your size, energy saving tips. So it's pretty cool. Kind of going down the.
So wait a minute, did you say, and I sorry to interrupt you, that with this app, that instead of me going, oh, power's out, which is not very often, but I could look at my app, it'll say, okay, it's out on your side of the river, or it'll
Yeah,
kind of zero in to say, so at least I know that I don't have to call you.
On the beginning of page 3,
Okay.
there's an outage module. There would be like a graph of who's out. You could get a text or email alert to your phone because the AMI meter would know that there's no power to the meter. It would send us a signal and we'd have a database that would instantly text message, and
Okay.
it would be just seamless.
Rock on.
Obviously,
As long as it doesn't text me at 3 a.m. on the power.
actually,
Well, it might do that too.
the
so-
customer can choose if they want a text or an email and what times they do not want a text or an email.
Wow.
Greg and I went through the demo, and there's restricted text and call times, or,
Very cool.
Wow,
It's very, very, very customer friendly.
that is great.
yeah, it's,
Cutting edge stuff.
it really
As
is.
Steve said, I mean, Tom and I have been going for 3 or 4 years now to these conferences to find out what's available in the market and building a database of who's doing a good job and who isn't. And this is by far the most advanced technology that we've seen.
Looks real impressive.
It's cool. Customers would be able to say, I want to have a budget of $100 for my bill, and they could get alerted when they're at 50% of that budget, 75% when they're over, what they're projected to use. We'd have our rate structure in this program, and it would take readings like every night and say, okay, this is what your bill will be if you never used another kilowatt hour the rest of the month. So it's really complicated. I mean, advanced. I mean, it's not complicated. It's,
So don't turn your lights on for the rest of the month.
Well, I like how it's very simple looking. You know, I'm a very visual person, and it looks like, and I'm not a techie, I could actually fly through this.
they were open to
Will let you
even,
be a test case.
Oh, definitely.
they were open to doing a demo for us where they could call in and we could view things on the monitor. But this would be like the customer side of the AMI, the benefits that they could get. Really, about anything is possible with an AMI system.
I don't want to get into too many details, but a couple of questions, would it give you the ability to put in like a planned resumption of power, like for an unplanned outage? I mean, let's say that there's an outage and then the crew gets there and says, oh, there's a tree on the line and we know we'll be up in 2 hours, or...
We can push notifications to customers who want to receive like
Yeah.
outage updates. So yes, we could, and even like a customer could report an outage. They could take a picture and send us a message, and we could get a picture of the outage in like real time, and we could have different users set up to get that type of stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
so like this planned outage that we're doing in October, instead of sending a letter, anyone who had signed up could get an email or a text, and like the day before, just a reminder, power will be out at midnight until 3 a.m. on such and such date.
And I guess the other question, does this show like real-time consumption? Like if you were at home and you had this, you're looking at this and I unplugged my fridge, would I see a drop or
No, it'll do it by the hour.
by the hour? Okay.
Like commercial
Which is actually
businesses
pretty-
could get down to the 15 minutes for the demand component.
So, if we don't, we have to purchase this separately. So the smart meters themselves, while they have the capacity to do that, there's no way to report any of that to the consumer without this additional, is that what I'm,
Correct.
I just want to make sure I'm tracking you.
Yes.
And they gave us a proposal that I think was, for this solution, which would be like $4,000 a year, which a few $100s a month. If you had people sign up for an e-bill,
Yeah.
I think 600 or 700 people over time, you would save that money in postage, envelopes, and statements.
Yeah.
So there's definitely cost savings.
Well, I think it makes us more consumer friendly,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know that I would be tracking my electric usage quite that much, but it would be interesting to know some of this other stuff, so.
I don't think that 75 or 80% of the people wouldn't use it, but 20 or 25 would really be
Right.
thrilled and digging into it.
I think a lot of commercial customers
Mhm.
would be.
Yeah, there's some
Had some
payback there.
large industrial, like,
Yeah.
how can I cut demand, or can you tell me what my demand is on this day, or, right now, we don't have that ability, but they would have logins, and they could monitor things by
I mean,
15-minute
we've had
increments.
customers in the past who have been very intent about getting that information, so they would send an employee out to the meter every hour to record the data. So that
And I do know people would love an electronic billing. I mean, I've asked that question in the past, like, when am I gonna have an option of electronic billing? Because
Mhm.
I just don't want the paper. I do, everything else is automated. It's like, why can't
Yeah, you could
automate
save your
this?
bill as a PDF, view it
Right.
how it is.
Right.
And then a couple other positives about, I'm not trying to push certain vendors, but Eaton, Cooper, and GE do have a water solution where there could be a water node purchased, and the smart utility systems could incorporate water on the app.
I was just gonna ask that.
So it's not like we're gonna do something that 5 years down the road, oh, well, we went down this road. And I do have budgetary costs for a water, if the water department wanted to add on the solution.
Which would be awesome,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people would sign up for, the online billing, and, yeah, I think a ton of people would sign up for that.
Yeah.
Not to mention
And-
staff costs that's saved and makes you guys stop.
Right.
And honestly, that's one of the things we've been looking for as well, is that we want this system, even though the water department may not be ready for it now, we want a system that could be adaptable in the future.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That makes sense.
It is much more robust even by far than the current solution we put in for paying bills online. That's fairly basic. It's nice when it'll be up and running, but this is just like something you would see a billion-dollar company have, like Consumers Energy or Verizon Wireless, like a huge Fortune 500 company happen. So, we don't need to talk about this forever, but a few low light and power benefits. Decrease the number of billing days outstanding. We could bill later in the month and still send the bill out on the 30th. We wouldn't have to have Ron do variance checks. We wouldn't have to have Gail input all the meter reads by hand, worry about a mistype or, a bill going out wrong. So there's a few things. We could monitor over and underloaded transformers in real time. We would decrease system losses, and we could monitor customer usages. We won't be able to tell if they have a refrigerator in, like some of these videos, but like with this King Milling situation, we'd be able to know like that if something happened. We could monitor our losses on a monthly or even a daily basis. So there's some benefits to us too, but that's kind of where the AMI project is headed.
I would really like to strongly encourage us to think about doing a couple of community meetings before we install these, because I know there are some people out there that have concerns.
Yes.
And I just think it's important that we get the right, accurate information out there and not some of the misinformation that's out there. So I think the community meetings, giving people a chance to ask questions and,
Right.
get comfortable with it before we install, I think is important.
Yes.
That's the plan.
And I believe we'd still allow customers to opt out, like we always have, at no cost probably at this point, whereas Consumers is charging customers to opt out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they just had a court case go against them, actually. With
Better them than
consumers.
us.
Right.
That's right.
Great, well, thank you, that's very impressive.
Exciting project.
It is exciting.
Stay tuned.
Thanks for all your
Yes, a lot of work.
time
And
on
it's even punched for us, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank Julie for punching it. She helped me out at the last minute today, so.
We've had our first meeting with Fellow McCord, and so they're moving forward, we're looking at possibilities. And I'm in the process of scheduling a meeting with Consumers. And there's a piece of legislation now in the Michigan legislature that would promote the gas companies in the state to, or promotes not the right word, but encourage them to upgrade infrastructure. And so with the possibility of that coming, there might be impetus for consumers to want to work with us more than they have in the past. So anyway, I'm working on that. You had 2 or 3 letters of appreciation in your packet, one from for the food fight, one from Pink Arrow, and one from Traverse City for our mutual aid assistance there. We also had a letter from Performs about our quick and efficient response to a service call that they had. So, number of attaboys this month. The Line Shack painting, we have been in communication with Lowell Arts, and they would be willing to help set up a program for us. They did do the program for the mural painting that was done on the Trails building across from City Hall. So we're kind of working through that with them. I put a little bit of information in there. What they do is they hire an artist from the area who helps work with some of the students who are interested. There's actually some educational component to it where the kids are learning technique and so forth from the individual artist that ultimately gets hired to oversee the mural work, and everybody works on the painting of it. The one that they did on the side of the Trails building, they actually did inside on large canvases that they mounted later. That's a possibility, or it would be possible to have it painted right on the building as another option. So we're looking at that. We're working with them. We've been in communication. What they're suggesting is that we would, do a kickoff that starts sometime in the spring, and then the painting would actually occur, I think, in the summer type of thing when the weather's nice.
It will go up in the fall.
So.
That when I didn't notice today, but I don't know, last week or the week before, I guess it was, I just happened to be on the other side of the river and looked across, and they didn't paint all the way down. Are they gonna do something else in there, or they're just gonna leave that?
I think they're gonna leave it for now.
Okay.
There is some additional restoration work that needs to be
Okay.
done, and so until that was finished, I think they decided,
Okay.
not to paint that for now. Plus, that was also a high water mark,
Okay.
and so we weren't
Okay.
definitive on how.
Opportunity in the future where the river may be lowered by King Milling, and then that might offer a
Right,
better
yeah.
chance at getting closer to that water line, but
Yes.
I don't think you want the paint in the water,
No.
so
Okay.
at least wet paint in the water.
So if you're talking about the potential, like having to do some work on the walls or to prevent, because of the cracks and all that, so it seems like you may want to have the mural be on some kind of a panel again, because if you had to go and do some work on the wall, you wouldn't want to have to, ruin the painting, so to speak.
Right. The flip
If you
side
had
of
to
that
do
coin
something
is
else, you can pull it off and do
if the
something.
building
then-
continues to shift, you wouldn't want those panels to fall into the river either, so.
Yeah.
So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we
I'm
are.
sure there's ways to mount them that they're not going to fall.
Yeah,
I mean,
well-
even if the building split. So, I mean,
So we'll keep you posted on the information that we find out. But that's one option anyway. Where are we at? Lowell Schools. Haven't had anything develop yet with respect to the community solar program. I did mention though that they are looking at a fairly large program. Could be a megawatt or up to 2 megawatts, which is a significant amount of generation to put into our system. So if they were to even just use that for themselves, that would reduce the amount that they would be paying us for electricity that they would need for those times. So that would have an impact on our revenue. Plus, if they were generating more than they could use, then on a net metering program, they would be putting kilowatt hours into our system, which could have an impact to things that we've already purchased or purchase power agreements and contracts that we already have in place. So regardless of what happens there, we need to keep on top of it. But I think I'm really encouraging them to, the developer to work towards some type of a community solar program where other people in the community could get involved in the project other than just the schools. So we'll see how that develops. But
Is there a known statistic? I mean, if it's 1 to 2 megawatts, but when you look at the length of the daylight, the cloudy days in Michigan winters, I mean,
Right.
what is it, 20% of the time that solar is effective? Or I bet it's less than that.
no, it's actually about that, 22 to 25%. And, you know, when we talk about the biodigester being at full capacity, you know, it's an 800 kilowatt unit and it's supposed to run at 92 to 96% capacity, so you're getting over 700 kilowatts an hour out of that unit. So obviously when the sun's out, you're going to get almost 100% capacity on these solar panels, but the average in Michigan is about 22%. So, but nonetheless, when the sun is out, you'll be getting that whole amount. So the capacity factor is high when the sun's out. It's just on the average.
But
it's
from a
low.
revenue standpoint, it'd be closer to a 1/4 megawatt to a 1/2 megawatt if it's 25%
Correct. Yeah.
on our revenue.
Yes. Exactly.
There wouldn't be any system to store that energy necessarily, or is that just not efficient?
It's not efficient at this point. Now, there are a couple of companies now that are promoting storage capacity, and so that's starting to come into the marketplace. Tesla is one that has just announced a battery storage system for solar. They're mostly geared towards residences.
Right.
They haven't really come out with anything on a commercial basis yet for large installations, but that's something that, you know, we've been working on in this country for years, is storage capacity with some type of a battery. So ultimately, that'll happen, but we're not really seeing much on a large scale for that right now. You have to have hundreds and hundreds of batteries. I mean, that's the problem with the distance on the electric car. You know, you can't store it long enough to get more than 200 and 250 miles and have to replenish the battery. So,
Yeah, and they wear out.
and they wear out.
They're not efficient, so what you put on, you don't get out.
Yeah.
But just curious, in terms of, you mentioned having, if you'd had like 2 megawatts all at once on a sunny day, and, you know, if that were just, it's just one of those things where if it's disrupting peaking or things like that, it'd be nice if you had some kind of a buffer to divert it to. I mean,
Right.
but-
Right, it would be, and that's part of the problem. That, you know what?
Yeah, even if it's just a capacitor versus a.
Right, and that's one of the
Battery,
things
but-
I'm trying to explain to them when, you know, they said, well, you know, if we put this in and then we shouldn't be charged demand charges on a sunny day. And I said, well, I can't do that because, what if we're gonna then count on your 2 megawatts and not by peaking capacity someplace for that season,
Yeah.
and your system goes down?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm really burned. You know, I've got to
Right.
go out and buy it at the peak price instead of being able to hedge it with, you know, some advanced purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's a complicated scenario to try and work out on a larger scale
Mm-hmm.
because of the impact it could have. You know, if our total usage in the summer is 15 megawatts and they say they're going to provide 2 or 2.5, and it's either there or not there, that's, you know, a pretty big percentage of what we use.
Right.
So, any other questions? All right. Just a little on the Lowell Light and Power building. Again, I mentioned that we do have a key, so we can go over and take a look at it tonight. We've been getting some estimates on an HVAC system for it. It does not have air conditioning, and it has a boiler in it that is in need of repair. So we're getting some numbers on that, as well as if there's any need to do roofing work on it, so.
In the process of looking at that, have we done anything to look at potentials of selling this? I mean,